Welcome to Marvel Maniac, an MCU after show. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, back for another week, another episode, another trial. Agatha All Along, episode 4, titled If I Can't Reach You, Let My Song Teach You. Show's been great so far, and I'd like to welcome you to the show again. You know, we're on episode 4, so we're not even halfway through the 9-episode series. But if you consider in weeks how close we are, we have about 4 weeks left after this, I believe. If I'm not correct, there's 9 episodes. The last 2 episodes premiere on the same night, and that would give us 4 more weeks. So wow, it's going by fast, and that's good. That's a good thing. It means the show is engaging. It's keeping my attention. It's keeping me at the edge of my seat a little bit, wondering. There's a lot of little questions that they need to answer. They built up some of those in this episode, and they even got to the bottom of a story. And one of my new favorite characters, Alice, she was kind of like a semi-focus of this trial, and it all had to do with music, and we'll get into all that. Last week, remember, the trials had to do with them drinking wine, them getting poisoned, and Jen having to make a potion to get them cured before they leave, not knowing that by the time Sharon Davis falls down from the slide, very Goonies, she's very dead. The episode doesn't start us past this moment. It picks up directly where it left off last week, with everyone kind of circling Sharon, and Agatha's reaction initially at the end of the last episode went to kind of like show how little Sharon really meant to Agatha. She was just Agatha. Obviously, it's painfully obvious. Actually, if I rewatched all 3 today, it's painfully obvious how Sharon is totally being kidnapped. She gets dragged into this. She did not want this. She didn't ask for this. The only thing, the choice that she made that got her killed was to listen to Agatha, bring her to a in quotes party. I'm mad at Agatha about that. I love Sharon. I'm not going to call her Mrs. Hart ever again. But if she'd like me to, I would. I'd call her Mrs. Hart. So yeah, I thought maybe there was a chance they'd bring her back. But yet did I forget. They need a green witch. And at the end of the day, Mrs. Hart, Sharon, wasn't really a witch. Like, she had maybe like an inch of witch in her. Like a minuscule pinch of witch. And Agatha kind of just outright tells the other witches that we needed her to get in the initial, when they were doing the Witches Road song. But once everybody's in, it's anyone's game, she says. I can't believe that Agatha's like so clearly antagonizing these women, and they don't give her much response. Yet, I will remind you that in the last episode or 2, Agatha admits that she can't take anyone's power unless they are trying to hurt her with it, which we do see in WandaVision, which I thought it's a cool continuity. I'm glad they keep, or they even added on to that continuity. That's how she gets any of her power. She baits witches into fighting her, and then takes their powers. That's kind of cool too. I can remember that scene from WandaVision so clear, as if I'm like a genius for that. I watched it like 2 weeks ago, but. Yeah, I wanted this episode to be a little, it's like less complicated, but because it was a little hard for me to follow some of what was going on with Alice and her mom and the history with her mom. Like I said last week, and if I haven't said it this week, these characters, these new witches like Lilia, Jen, and Alice, and obviously Rio, Aubrey Plaza, she's going to be great. But especially these 3 witches of Alice, Jen, and Lilia, they have a good chemistry. Agatha even says something along the lines of anybody's game, anti-hero. I actually think that Agatha, by the end of this series, will have gained some redemption. She's clearly lost a child. She might think that Teen is that child, which is something that's kind of like revelated or talked about at the end of the episode, so we could touch back on that in a bit. But there's a lot of mysteries for Agatha to get to the bottom of, that I don't even know she realizes. It seems that she buries deep down that history, and especially with Rio, we know they have a history. We know they can't kill each other. There's a lot to learn. And the witch that Agatha summons, everyone has a preference, and everyone says they want the witch to have this, 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 and this. So they summon their green witch, and here she comes, Rio Vidal, out of where Sharon Davis was buried, like a corpse, like a zombie corpse moment. And that was terrifying and awesome. It's such a cool entrance for a character. Yeah, Teen just carries like a book of spells apparently on him. Like, where does Teen come from? He knows so much yet so little. I don't know how in that one little time where he was explaining who he was in the car that we couldn't like lip read him saying, "Oh yeah, I was raised by this person," or like he's clearly got things to be uncovered. The most, like, he's the biggest mystery of the show, if we're honest. But with Teen's book, Agatha was able to summon Rio. I don't think she chose Rio. She brings a very like ominous presence to this coven now. Rio has got like a lot to hide, and Agatha gets her on some of it, and just to kind of show the other witches later in the episode a piece of who Rio really is and what her motivations are. She's very unpredictable, and there's immediate like beef between her and Agatha. Without a doubt, they have a romantic history, in my opinion. The way they looked at each other and nearly kissed this episode, it was so close to happening. And Rio knows things about Agatha that either Agatha refuses to talk about or think about, or just completely has suppressed. Like where her son is. Does she know? Did she trade her son for powers? Is that true? Or is her son Senor Scratchy, the bunny? Because that would be something right there. You know, that would be a very like reminiscent of Ron Weasley's rat that turns into that little evil man. I need to watch Harry Potter again. I'm definitely going to need to rewatch this one after this week. I rewatched the first three, and it honestly was really great. You know, knowing even in the first episode that Agatha was walking around pretending to be a cop. A big part of this episode and trial that they go into centers around Alice and what's going on with her mom. And from the very beginning, when we meet Alice, Agatha mentions that she wants to solve her mom's issues, her mommy issues, I guess. And there's a bit of a revelation from Lilia that Alice's mom might still be alive if she were out here on the road. But Alice clears up that by on the road, she meant that her mother was traveling with her band. But her mother said to Alice that she should find the witch's road, and that it would, bring her some sort of like full circle. I don't know. Like, I don't know what she really wants by getting to the end of the road. Alice seems like a genuine person. Her mom was like crazy, apparently. Last week we saw her mom yelling at her in her vision. The moment of last week's episode that was like that scene of Avengers Age of Ultron where Scarlet Witch sends everyone to their little personal dreamlands that kind of trip them all out. And man, I love that movie. By the way, that's going to be one of our next episodes. So be on the lookout for that. So the new coven travels down the Witch's Road together, including Rio, slightly creeping everybody out every few seconds, which I love. This is the perfect part for Aubrey Plaza. I'm a big fan of hers. Any Parks and Recs people out there, there's got to be some of you. Parks and Recreation, one of the best shows. We got Chris Pratt in that before he was Star-Lord, and I completely love that show. But off topic, this is not why Rio is here to cause or talk about Pawnee, Indiana. She wants to walk the road. I don't know. Does she want to be walking the Witch's Road? Was this part of Rio's plan? Did she always know that Agatha was going to need her to come back here? Part of me feels like it was. I actually do. So after a little bit of time, there's like a mysterious cabin that they see in the distance, and they can't escape it. Alice doesn't want to go to it, so she turns around, and then it's standing in front of her again. So Alice has to go. There's no other way. When they walk into the house, similar to last week, they are all wearing different clothes, 70s transformation, once they enter the cabin, and there's an unsettling atmosphere inside. Rio continues agonizing, obviously, and it she just leaks out subtle hints of her past with Agatha in this episode. The discovery of Alice's mom's picture and her history of trying to open the Witch's Road during concerts. That there was something with her mom. There was something that seems like there was wrong with her mom. What's going on with Alice's mom? Email me, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. Clearly a centerpiece of this episode, her mom wrote the most recent and most popular version of The Witch's Road. And, you know, once they get into this cabin, they find out they're all cursed. And this, like, burning overcomes, like, Lilia. And it sets them on fire and burns their back. And Alice has to draw, like, a spell, like, around a circle around them to make the burning go away. It's scary to be cursed. So there's a hidden invisible demon in this place, and there's a curse. This is scary. Alice, she has a really emotional moment because it's come to realize the way that they get out of this trial is by singing her mother's version of The Witch's Road. And how is that discovered? Well, Agatha points out, it looks like we're supposed to be playing music. Like, there's actually, like, a full music setup here, which is kind of awesome. As a musician, pretty cool. But it's scary knowing you have to do something to eliminate a demon, and it just so happens to be this song. You know, Alice was arguing that the song was only meant to conjure the road, and they already did that. However, in this case, the different version of the song helped lift the curse that was put on them when they entered the house. So very cool. I like these. I like these trials. I like how it shakes up. Every episode is a nice shake up, and it's unpredictable. Just like Rio. Rio is unpredictable. I don't know where that character's going. Will she be redemption? Is it too obvious to think that she's the bad guy? Is it not? Should she be the bad guy? Is there really a good or bad in the world of witches? I think Lily is a good witch, and throughout this whole episode, she's having, like, amnesia. I could say, like, I felt that way a couple times in my life, like the way that Lily was acting, but it was very weird. Like, she would be having conversations with people, and then she, like, snap out of it, and the other person would be continuing the conversation, and she's like, oh, what? Like, she was never talking about it. It seems like some sort of spell or something is like hexed inside. I don't know. We don't talk about it. They don't talk about it much in this episode. It's just kind of like eyebrows are raised. I have a feeling in the next one or the one after, we'll have to figure out what's going on with that. So the trial at the cabin is them having to sing Alice's mother, her version of The Witch's Road, which is rockin'. I frickin' love it. A jam session that lifts a curse and destroys a demon into ashes. You know, the song sounds familiar at first, but then you see each one of these people on instruments, and they're actually playing the song. It seems pretty cool. We got Jen on bass. We got Agatha and Lilia on vocals. We got Rio on drums. And I think Tina's playing guitar. So yeah, Alice is playing piano. Lily is playing the triangle. Every good band needs a triangle player. Everyone's involved in one way or another. And yeah, Tina's playing guitar. Like, Alice puts her heart into the performance when she realizes what she needs to do. And they jammed it out. Very good voices. Catherine Hahn, Agatha, great voice. Great singing voice. Correct me if I'm wrong. She was on Broadway. And that's why they gave Agatha a show. Charisma, attitude, unpredictability, and humorous. Everything that goes into Agatha relates to us, and yet at the same time, she's, like, not so great of a person. I need redemption. I need redemption for Agatha. She needs to help out in Avengers movies. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think Agatha will be redeemed in a way or another, and we're going to be seeing her in the MCU still. Unless she dies in the show. We don't know. We're on the edge. We're on the edge of this thing together, folks. So they sing this song, and once Alice sees the demon up above, she, like, lays into it, like I said. And she set the demon like a flame, and then they continue playing, ultimately banishing this demon and passing the trial. really cool. The power of music. I like the way music's used in this show. I really, I could just see versions of this in so many different multiverses where it's so cheesy you can't handle it, like the first song and this song, but it's played so well, and the road is real, and the trials feel so real, and everything's at stake, and the song works. The songs work. The songs make the show. Even at the very first episode, it was pointed out by the Screen Crush New Rock Stars that she's. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out if you go back and watch, but she's humming it. She's humming the Witch's Road song. So this is the whole show. This is the whole show right here. I wonder, the rule of threes, are we going to get it for a third time? I bet yes, and I bet at the end. Unless maybe they do it 5 times. Maybe every single trial is a different version of the Witch's Road song. I'm just kidding. So when Teen gets injured, I want to draw like a comparison. Teen gets injured. They succeed, but Teen gets injured. He falls over. The door to the road reopens, so they get out. I never seen Agatha more concerned about another living being since we've ever met her. She cares about Teen. And Rio will kind of remind us why. And all the witches are sitting by the fire. And Rio, she confesses that she was in love in the past. And she did something that hurt them even though it was her job. And she refers to this person as my scar. And it just does. It strongly hints that she's talking about Agatha. And it's implying that their past involves a painful, unresolved history between them. I like the tension, but I think I'm just sus of Rio, and I'm probably right on this. I want to be proven wrong. She's got bad intentions, and there was a moment in the episode where even like her and Agatha were talking aside, and Rio kind of wants to do it just them like it used to be. Agatha even brings that up, but she kind of like sets Rio up to look bad in front of the other witches, and she does. I mean, Agatha does a good job at that. And at the end of the episode, Lilia says, "Don't think we forgot about what you said." So that's still like on the table. Rio and Agatha get really close, almost to as they're gonna kiss, which totally hints towards their romantic history that I was right about. I like that I'm proud of this when it was fairly obvious. I'm sorry, team. I'm sorry, maniacs. I don't mean to offend. I like to think I'm extra smart sometimes, but this episode was a lot of fun. That moment where they almost kiss, Agatha and Rio, and she just stops and brings up that Teen isn't her child. Like, and then that kind of makes sense to me. Like, oh yeah, you look back at it and like she's more worried about Teen. Like, let's draw that comparison. I never drew it. Mrs. Hart's death, Sharon's. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hart. Teen's near death. Agatha couldn't care less about losing. I keep wanting to call her Miss Hart, Mrs. Hart, but it was Sharon. Her name was Sharon. The fact that Sharon died and she didn't care, and the Teen is hurting and she cares. In Rio saying it's not your boy, she lost her child. She definitely probably has some thoughts that that might be her kid that she lost. There's clearly like some other spell on her that makes her forget that, right? Or is it just so deep in there she don't want to talk about it? I don't know. I know we'll learn about it by the end of the series. I don't know. Maybe we won't. This show's been so good, maybe they'll let us down in the last 4 episodes. It'll go down as the worst. I'm just kidding. This show's been great. I don't think they can like bomb from here. I feel like they are like charting off to be on course. Like 4 good episodes, I think we're in. Like, yeah, I'm in. I'm not questioning this anymore. Like, like Agatha All Along, to me, good show. Maybe it'll have a weak point. I'm just trying to set myself up so I don't have to be hurt. Because I usually like most things, but sometimes fans, they're a little bit harder on it than me. And if there's a reason for 1 or 2 fans to hate this, it could go really bad, and we got a Secret Invasion on our hands. And I ain't gonna say it much more, but Secret Invasion could have been an Avengers movie, and they used it to underutilize a great actor like Samuel L. Jackson. And I'm talking so low right now, which maybe it's because I've been on the Witch's Road. I don't know. Down. I won't do that. I could, but I won't. Yeah, so that last scene, she kind of is hurt, it looks like, when Agatha is told that by Rio. Well, especially because, like, it's a double whammy. I'm not going to kiss you, and that's not your son. So, yeah, Agatha is very manipulative, but so is Rio. And as immediate as Agatha was to, like, write off Mrs. Hart, Rio shows up and kind of shaking up Agatha's story and journey. And they clearly walked down this road before and betrayed witches. I truly do believe it. I like the cast. I've said that. Will more die is the true question. Will there be more dying? Will there any of the witches? Will we lose them? I don't think so, because I have to keep the whole coven to get to the end, right? I don't know. The rules are a little unclear. Agatha said that once they're all in, they could walk to the end. It's anyone's game. But it seems like they needed the Green Witch, so why wouldn't they need all the other witches? I don't know. So we'll see in the next few weeks. Teen, that identity's coming out. I mean, it's gotta pop up in one of these episodes. I don't know if they'll take it to the last episode, like a secret, like maybe it's Wanda Maximoff's kid. There's lots of theories and explanations on New Rockstars and Screen Crush. Type them in on YouTube. They're the best. You can also follow the podcast on YouTube now. It automatically gets updated. Just look up Eric, aka Mr. Honest, and look at my page, and it's there. The whole podcast up to the current one. And it's everywhere you get your podcast. And if I could ask for a rating, give us a positive one on wherever you listen to your podcast. And just know that I'm having the best time of my life. And if you're just enjoying this and you're like, oh, I can't donate money. This is a podcast I like. I can't donate. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. There's nothing to worry about. I'm doing this because I love it. But if you want to hit up that tip jar in the in the comment section, not the comment section, the description, there's a tip jar link. You can donate there. It'll all go back into the show / feeding the fam, helping feed the fam. I'll be feeding myself as well. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about this. It's been an honor to be back. I thought this episode would be longer for me to talk about, but to summarize everything and the way I summarized it all, I wanted to touch the key moments. And I'm wondering if we're going to learn more about Alice's mom and her story. But to me, it looks like we're going to be tackling each of these witches' interesting backstory, like Jen's, for example. Like that last episode where she was getting drowned by this creepy doctor. I think that one of the trials, Jen's trial was the first one though, so I don't know. The creepy doctor though, I'd still say we'll learn a little bit more about that. I don't know what's to come. That's the best part. They end up walking the road and continuing down it, and we don't know where it's going. I don't know, but I love it. I mean, I'll be here next week to watch it. I haven't done this in a while. I just love Marvel television. I like the new little intro they put at the beginning. It has the song of the big movie, opening with dun, 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 the big opening. But it's just like a dun 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 dun. It's like quick. I love that. I say a lot, working on my ums. And I say too much. Like, I shouldn't be telling you about the ums. That's my own problem. But anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. You're appreciated. And you are loved. And I am so excited to talk to you about Age of Ultron for Friday's episode. So tune in. If not, you're not feeling Ultron, we'll see you next week for Agatha episode 5. We are coming a little bit towards the end. We're hitting the latter half of the show. Things are just heating up. Things are just getting interesting. So I'll be excited to talk to you guys next week for Agatha All Along and or Age of Ultron. And if something along like Age of Ultron changes into a different movie, my bad. I'm definitely covering that in the next episode or two, though. All right. Until next time, this has been your host, Eric Cicada, a.k.a. Mr. Honest. Reach out on all social media, Marvel Maniac Pod. Look me up on Twitter, Mr. Honest, Mr. HON3ST, Honest. And I will appreciate getting to meet some of my wonderful listeners. You have a wonderful week, weekend, night, day, evening, lunch, breakfast, all of the above. Want it to be good. Hope you have a great time. And we'll be seeing you next time on Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. And until then, Avengers, disassemble.